Welcome to IT Online. This is the first course that you will be doing as part of your online training. Please note this is the format that we will be doing all the theory courses on, and hopefully you will begin to understand the process, how it works, put in the time that is needed, and to get a lot of enjoyment from this course. My name is Lex Forer, and you're welcome to contact me via the forums. Right. What is a computer? The first part that we'll be covering in this course is going to be looking at the basic concepts of computing, and that is what it's all about. That is the reason why you're taking the course, and computing is the reason why we have information technology. It is about managing computers, it is about making them work better, and it is also about managing the environment and the world around you. We will be exploring all these different aspects. In this particular course, we will be looking at what is a computer. We'll be looking at the model of a computer. We'll look at software and what its role is for the computer, how it's important for the computer, and how it's important for the user so they are able to use their computers effectively. We look at different types of computers, and obviously this is changing all the time as technology changes. Even the cell phone that you have in your hand is a form of computer. Then we look at ICT systems, and that is how does information technology get used in the real world. And at the very end we have a glossary. A glossary would be an explanation of terms, just in case you don't understand specific terms. Right, what is a computer? The main components of a computer is the hardware and software. And quite easily, just to be able to understand the difference, hardware is everything that you can touch. Software is the instructions that make a computer do what it must do. So if you can pick it up, if you can hold it, then you are busy with hardware. If it is making something work, then you are working with software. Right. We use the term IPO quite a lot when we talk about computers and computer processors, and very simply it stands for the input, the processing, and the output. And if you think about it, if you're sitting in front of a computer and you're using your keyboard, you're inputting information into the computer. If you are playing a game, you'll start off by logging in and setting yourself up. That will be your input. Once the game starts, there will be processing taking place, whatever you are doing, and the output can take various forms. The output can be on the screen, and it'll actually just show you what you're doing. It can send information to a printer, or it can send information to another person. So there's lots of different things that the computer does, and the whole point of everything is actually usually the output. You are using the computer to have a specific type of output. Okay. So what is a computer? The definition would be it's a multi-purpose electronic tool that can receive data, that's your input, can process the data, that is what takes place inside the computer, and it can produce certain results such as printouts, screen displays, emails, etc. Right. The first thing we need to understand is what is the difference between the terms data and information. We use those quite loosely when we talk about data or information. We don't actually even say that there's a difference. Sometimes we'll use the word data, sometimes we'll use the word information, and it gets quite confusing. But in computer studies, we are quite clear about what the difference is. Data is the raw, unprocessed facts. It is, for example, if you look at a number plate of a car and the number plate says CX1234, all of that is telling you is it is some numbers. It doesn't mean anything to you. It is purely unprocessed information. So there is an example of a registration number of a car. However, if we look at it in the car and we understand what it means, it is now telling us this refers to a particular person's car, this is their registration number, and it gives you information. So as long as it is data, it doesn't mean anything, but once it becomes information, it actually means something, and it tells us certain information that relates to that. So, what is a computer? A computer is something that we get data into it via the input part of the process. We then execute the instructions, process the data, and manage and control all the other parts of the computer. This is done inside the computer in a thing called the CPU, which is a central processing unit, or otherwise known as the computer chip. That is where the processing takes place inside a computer. Once we're busy processing, we'll also work with getting information off the computer, and this is usually off the hard drive. It could be off a CD drive, it could be off a flash disk or an external drive. But somewhere information is stored, and we bring this information in so that we can actually process that information. And then finally, that information goes to us, comes back to us either via a screen or via a printer. And we can then see other results of what we've been processing, or we can print it out and send it to somebody. So, what else do we do? We can use computers to communicate with each other, and that is called communication. That is what happens when you go into the Wi-Fi and you use internet, or you plug your computer into a router and you access information. That is the process of communication. Right, let's look at how these processes work. The data goes into the computer, it uses the hard drive or the CD drive or the flash drive to work with. It then takes that information and brings it back so that we can access it and read it. And throughout this entire process, we could also then communicate with other computers. Right, let's take note of the following. Programs have to be loaded before they can be used. When you buy a software program or you download a program, it doesn't just suddenly work on your computer. You have to load it, you have to run a setup, and you have to run install. And that is called loading the program. Data must also be in memory if the computer is able to work with it. Data, remember, is the raw, unprocessed material that you're working with. You have to load it somewhere so the computer can use it, and that will either come off a hard drive or a flash disk, and then the computer is able to make use of it. The contents of the memory only become permanent when you save it. If you don't press save, you could lose the information that is on a computer. You'll find out more about that later. Right, that has been a bit of an introduction to what a computer is. You're now going to do activity 1 and use this information to make sure that you understand it. Please complete activity 1. It's in your textbook, and there will be a quiz as well after this on the course, and you need to complete the quiz before you can continue. Thank you very much for completing your first section of IT Online for grade 10s.